Hi, welcome back to We Are Nacogdoches. This is the show where we get to explore the good things in our community and the people that are making it happen. I'm Kelly Augustine. I work at the Nacogdoches County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm very excited today because the guest we have with us is Veronica Amoe. She is the Historic Sites Manager for the City of Nacogdoches. And of course, I know the City of Nacogdoches has a lot of good history. Veronica, our sites are a treasure, and I can only imagine the fun stuff you get to do in your job. Why don't we start with that? Let's talk about the sites that we have here right in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, so City of Nacogdoches operates 4 historic sites. It's the Stern Hoya House, the Durst Taylor House, the Nacogdoches Railroad Depot, and the newest addition is the Zion Hill Baptist Church historic site. So all those buildings have a lot of history to them. The Stern Hoya House has ties to the Texas Revolution. The Durst Taylor House saw a lot of change over time, being right near the Camino Real. The railroad depot, railroads coming into Nacogdoches brought a lot of economic development. And the Zion Hill Church is the third home of one of the oldest African American Baptist congregations in Texas. So a lot of history there.
And all of these sites are open to the public, correct?
Yes, they're open to the public. They're free to tour. We have regular hours every week. We do a lot of different programs and events at each site throughout the year. So we just enjoy having people come to the sites and giving tours around the buildings and talking about the history there.
When did you start?
So I started in 2022, about February. So, but I've been working in museums a little over 10 years.
Well, what was it about Nacogdoches that got you excited, that made you want to be a part of this?
So when you think of Nacogdoches, definitely history is a big part of it, and it's people who care about preserving the history, which I think is just wonderful. So many times in cities you don't see a lot of historic buildings, you don't see a lot of the history being preserved, and I think Nacogdoches has just done a great job with it. It's a beautiful town, and just so much to do, and just a lot of history in the town.
Well, I've been to most of those sites, if not all. I believe I have, and I've had formal tours. They're very entertaining. The tour guides are hilarious.
Yes.
I enjoy the storytelling behind the facilities.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole property has story to tell. So they're also used as venues, correct? There are events and things happening throughout the year.
Yeah, mostly the Zion Hill is a venue that people can rent for weddings or different events they want to have at the church. Along with being a museum, it was always, its hope was it to be available for people to use. So it's a beautiful, beautiful architecture. It was designed by a locally known architect, Diedrich Rolfs, and it's a beautiful, beautiful building with beautiful stories attached to it. So it's a great place to have an event.
Well, since we're talking about Zion Hill Baptist Church, I happened to be at that ribbon cutting, and it was a very special time. It was actually a moment in time just to have it reopened.
Oh, yeah.
Because that has been a project in the works for a long time, right?
Yes.
What was it originally used for? Why was it built? It's a beautiful structure. Can you give us a little more information just about that church?
Absolutely. So it was built in 1914, and it was built for the Zion Hill congregation. The church used it between that time and the late 1900s, so 1980s. And then they had to make a difficult decision to move to a newer building because the historic buildings, they take a lot to upkeep and preserve. And it did sat vacant for a while, but then the Nacogdoches County Historical Foundation, one of our partnering organizations, took it on as a restoration project, and then it was given over to the city. And we still, we partner with the Zion Hill congregation. We are always talking about their members, about their memories at the church. And here recently, they've actually used the church again to have a service there.
Well, what other partners do you have in the community?
Yes, another one is it's Friends of Historic Nacogdoches, Inc. We partner with them on a couple of events. One of the most treasured one is the living history of Oak Grove Cemetery. Oak Grove Cemetery is one of the oldest cemeteries in Nacogdoches, and we have reenactors who volunteer their time to bring these historic figures back to life. So it's a very treasured, loved event, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was thinking, you mentioned these events, and they are fundraisers. They're loads of fun, by the way. Thank you for providing that to us. But tourism itself is a big business for Nacogdoches. There are enthusiasts that travel far and
Oh, yeah.
wide to come to the oldest town in
Mm-hmm.
Texas. And I've learned a little more about that. I believe it's heritage tourism too.
Yes,
That's a
yeah.
big draw for here. It's bringing new dollars into our community. So I think that is one of the a good reason that we would continue to treasure and
Oh, yeah.
keep our historic sites
Absolutely.
available for viewing.
Yeah, we have. I'm surprised with how far people come, but you got to think if you're coming in from even out of the country and you want to travel to Texas and all the lore around Texas, you do want to go see the oldest town in Texas. You want to see where those early discussions of the Texas Revolution started happening and seeing. The places where those meetings with Sam Houston, Adolphus Stern, where they were meeting up. So they are treasures to keep up, and they do bring people from all over.
Well, I know it may not be under your area of watch, but the visitor center too.
Oh, yeah.
What does the visitor center offer?
So the visitor center is a great place to start. Even when we have a lot of people that come to our sites that come from the visitor center, but if they don't, we always point them in that direction because it has information of everything to see in Nacogdoches. So they help promote our sites. They help promote other attractions in Nacogdoches, and it's in the middle of the historic downtown area. So it's a great place to start if you want to see what all there is to do in Nacogdoches.
Neat. What about volunteers? Do you utilize volunteers?
Yes, we have different volunteer events. We partner with different groups. We're a smaller staff, so sometimes we need help with some of the upkeep at our sites. We'll have help with some of the gardening, some of the cleaning of the walls, just those basic things. We also, from time to time, have volunteers help with the Oak Grove Cemetery and gravestone cleaning. We have a lot of interest in that.
Well, I could see where our residents would have a passion
Oh, yeah.
for being involved in that. That's really neat. What is it about your job that really gets you excited?
Well, I love hearing about people's personal histories. When they come to a site where we're already talking about history, it kind of provides a gateway for them to open up about their own memories of growing up in Nacogdoches or going to church at Zion Hill. And it's such a privilege to hear everybody's memories because, history is nothing but stories, and it's really fun to hear about those.
Well, and that leads me to my next question. If someone does have a story to tell, how would they go about getting the info to you?
Yes. So our website is through the city website, nactexas.us/historic sites. They can also call 936-560-4441. They can also follow us on our Facebook page. We're pretty active on Facebook and Instagram and all the social media, and that's a great way to get in touch with us.
But how can they actually interact with you?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you had mentioned that social media has opened up a whole new channel of
yeah.
information gathering for
So
you.
our museum assistants, we all work together to do different Facebook posts where we'll post a picture and tell a snippet about that history of the photo. And then next thing you know, we have comments where people will comment, well, I remember that. I remember growing up next to that building, or we played in the yard right next to the church. And so it's just created a great avenue for us to learn about people's history, but also them to reminisce on wonderful memories.
I bet that's so interesting. I think I'm going to go visit that Facebook page just so
Yes.
I can start reading some of
You
those
should.
comments. What would you say to someone that may not really understand the value of history in Nacogdoches? I'm sure you've had to talk with groups where you've explained,
Oh, yeah.
what we have that maybe we take for granted. What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, so I think looking back is a great way to kind of get understanding of your present and future. And, so many times in the hustle and bustle, people sometimes take advantage of these great historic structures we have. And not only are they brick and mortar structures, but they're tied to wonderful stories of that people that came before us. And the people that came before us are a lot like us. They made good decisions, they made bad decisions. They were, hanging out with friends. So we kind of hold them on a pedestal, but they're people just like us. And I think it's important to save these treasures to understand that history.
Oh, that's a great answer. And I'm really glad you were able to join us today.
We appreciate it so much.
I think this visit may inspire others to look back and visit some of these wonderful sites and
We
think
hope they
about
do.
the history of our town and how we got to where we are. And I want to thank you for also joining us today. It's been a great show, and I hope it's inspired you because we are Nacogdoches.
This program is brought to you by the Department of Mass Communication at Stephen F. Austin State University, in association with the Nacogdoches County Chamber of Commerce, and with special thanks to the City of Nacogdoches.